Well, another major area of spending has been the health service, and billions spent on the NHS. Fewer questions on this than I expected, actually, but I have a question here posted by Dimencio, who actually gives his real name, Mr. Toby Turner. Would like to know, what is your view about the NHS? Do you think a major reform is overdue? In 10 years' time, do you think the public health service will be in the same state as it is now?
We are doing a major reform. I mean, this is why we're getting a lot of difficulty and criticism, particularly from people in the health service who are unhappy about the reform. But basically, we are introducing a system in the health service where the patient will have far more power and choice, where we're opening up the system to outside providers, and where we are going to be paying hospitals, for example, for the operations they actually do, rather than simply giving them a fixed amount of money.
I mean, Blair have been in power for 10 years now. There's been a lot of changes in the health service already.
Yeah.
A lot of criticism that too much power is in the hands of consultants, and that they're running the shop too much.
Well, actually, we're getting the opposite criticism now.
Right.
We're getting the criticism that we are not leaving it up to the doctors and the clinicians and the consultants, and the truth is we're not, because the system's got to be managed better. And every healthcare system around the world today faces an enormous challenge. I think our system has the potential to once again become, the great healthcare system we want, because what's actually going to happen, the problem when we came to power, and again people should go back and read the stuff on this, in 1997 the problem was waiting. I used to get letters from people when I first came into office whose relatives had died waiting for a heart operation on an NHS waiting list. That very, very rarely happens today. By the end of next year, if we put this reform program in, difficult though it is with all the, this is why you're getting all the blowback from financial deficits and worries about jobs and so on, is that what we're saying is that the health service has got to become an organisation that, like any other organisation, lives within a budget, where people get paid for the work they actually do, where there's a different system of financial accountability. But if we put this in, with the patient choice that we're giving, by the end of next year, you will have a maximum waiting time of 18 weeks, and that's everything in. Time you see your GP, through the diagnostic test to getting your operation done, maximum of 18 weeks and an average of 8 or 9. Now that, in 1997, would have seemed a completely impossible dream.
Okay.
So, and look, the other problem you get in healthcare, which you realise this when you look at systems around the world, is you solve one problem, another problem emerges. So you solve waiting, and then the problem is something else. It's MRSA or whatever.
Okay. Well, these are quite limited slots, so I'll take that.
It's a very interesting thing there, John.
Yeah.
That if technology existed to be able to do this 10 years ago, I promise you'd have had a huge amount of questions.
Actually, it's interesting. We didn't have many. We had rather sort of minor, sort of tiny points that people will make about health service. But now, we've said that, of course, that we'll be inundated with questions. I've got to ask you about this because we've had it on the site, and I sort of feel morally compelled to. Cash for honours. Here's the question that's been posted. Mr. Blair, this is by Farhead80. Why you on purpose never answered any questions about cash for honour? Why do you ignore the questions? Don't you feel your supporters have the right to know the truth? The honest should answer as nothing to worry from. That's not beautifully worded. All I'll say is, look, you remember how sleazy the Tories were in the 90s. Have you been whiter than white as you promised?
Well, the answer is I can't say anything, as I constantly say to people, until the inquiry's over. And I can't.
Okay. So I've been in the Labour Party for 25 years. But I've given my money...
Yeah, but maybe people should wait.
Yeah.
And then I'll be saying plenty, and other people can say plenty.
Let's put cash for honours to the side. Yeah. On the general issue of sleaze, do you think this has been a sleaze-free government?
Well, I tell you what I think. I think that in politics today, the important thing is to take action when people do something wrong. Mm-hmm. But I think it is a fond hope to think that any government is ever going to have people, no one ever does anything wrong. It's not the way life works. But we have actually one of the least corrupt political systems in the world, and in terms of accountability, and just for example, on the funding of political parties, prior to 97, there were no rules on party funding. Mm-hmm. We introduced them. The very reason why this whole business has arisen is because, for the first time, you actually have information out there. There is a process that you go through with an independent appointments commission. So, you know, and as for the specifics, as I say...
You can't talk about that.
I can't, but...
All I say is I've been a member of the Labour Party 25 years, I've given my membership over, I've bought raffle tickets, and, you know, where's my knighthood? A peerage, a mountain bike would do. I think that's probably all we've got time for this second clip. We're going to pause again there, and I'll come back. And in a desperate bid to get several hits to its YouTube site, the Labour Party is dividing this up into 3 chunks. So I'll be back with questions about global warming, individual liberty, and I'll be trying to ask the Prime Minister what he's going to do when he retires. So join us again.